from who did you recently learn something about coffee? I'm David, and a few people make a big impact on me. I will introduce them in the next 10 minutes. When I started working in specialty coffee, I was so fascinated by all these stories and flavors, but at the same time I felt a bit lost because we all know specialty coffee can be really complex. Nevertheless, or because of that, I'm standing in front of you today because I learned so much about coffee from people and with people. The first person I want to introduce you is Nikolai. Nikolai lives in Colombia and is very experienced in green coffee. I learned so much about growing and processing coffees from him. The coffees I will brew you today is also exported from him. You heard right, I don't want to brew you just one coffee. I want to brew you two different coffees, both coming from Jorge, from his finca El Jada in the Tolima region of Colombia. El Jada is located at 1900 meters above sea level. This creates unique microclimates, and all coffees from Jorge are very intense in flavors and also very clean. Both coffees are geishas, and after picking, they were floated and fermented in barrels for 3 days at 20 degrees. After that, one coffee was dried as a honey, which resulting in very intense flavors and also a very juicy acidity. The other coffee was was washed and then dried 10 days mechanical, which creates unique flavors of elderflower and strawberries. And to create a flavor balance and don't lose the flavors of the washed and the elegance of the honey, I blended them with 50% each. The next person I want to introduce you is Felix. Felix is very experienced in green coffee, in brewing techniques. I learned so much about extraction and brewing techniques from him. The most important thing for him is to have an even extraction, as this amplifies the balance between sweetness and acidity. I'm following also this philosophy today, and that's why I use the Orea dripper. Thanks to the flat bed and the steep walls, which not take any temperature of my brewing water, I could extract very even and almost the same from both coffees. I used also a VDT tool to destroy all coffee clumps in my coffee beds, which leads to a more even extraction and also to a smoother mouthfeel. I grinded my coffee 40 minutes ago with a hand grinder, with a grind size around 550 microns at main peaks. This leads to an extraction time of 2 minutes and 20 seconds and also amplifies the balance between sweetness and acidity, as I learned it from Felix. Today I brewed 15 grams of coffee and 250 ml of water, which is a brewing ratio of 1 to 16.5. This helps me to balance my cup of coffee and also to highlighting the sweetness in my blend. I started with a 55-gram blooming as a foundation for all other pours, followed by a 75 second pour to highlighting the juicy acidity of the honey, and followed with two 60-gram pours to highlighting the flavors and also the sweetness in my blend. The water I'm using today is specially developed for this coffee. It had 70 ppm of total hardness and 40 ppm of alkalinity. Thanks to the high magnesium content of the total hardness, I could extract very clean flavors of strawberries and elderflower, and thanks to the low alkalinity, which is an acidity buffer, I could also highlighting the juicy acidity of the honey. I poured today with 88 degrees hot water. Thanks to the combination between temperature and alkalinity, once again highlighting the balance between sweetness and acidity. And now judge something very new. I poured in frozen servers. By that, I can chill down the first 30% of my extraction. This leads to a more even extraction and also to a smoother mouthfeel and more intense flavors. And now, judges, the last person I want to introduce you is Dario. I know Dario through competition. And he's very experienced in competing and also in roasting, and that's why we developed a roasting profile together. We roasted both coffees with the same profile 6 days ago on a hot air roaster, with a total roasting time of 7 minutes and an end temperature of 214 degrees. The slightly hotter end temperature highlighting the flavors of the wash and the sweetness in my blend. And now, judges, please note down the flavor description. The aroma is medium. You will find rosehip, red currant, and vanilla. The flavors are medium to high. When hot, strawberries, red currant, and blood orange. When warm, the flavors are red grapes and raspberry. And when cooling, it goes to elderflower and peaches. The aftertaste is medium to high, very long, reminds me when hot, on bitter lemon lemonade, and on peaches. And when cooling, it goes more to an Earl Grey tea. The acidity is medium to high. When hot, very refreshing and juicy, citric like orange. And when cooling, there's also a sparkling malic acidity like red apples, with a bit of a juicy tartaric acidity also. The sweetness is medium to high. Reminds me of fruit sweetness I know from very ripe peaches. And when cooling, there's also a maltodextrin candy sweetness. The mouthfeel is medium to high also. Very dense and smooth. When hot, very creamy, and when cooling, it goes a bit lighter to velvety. Now, judges, I will serve you the coffee later in cups, but please evaluate the aroma direct from the server, as then it's much more intense. So, for you, and for you, and for you. Judges, when you taste the coffee later through all temperature levels, make these please direct from these cups, as then the aftertaste is very juicy and the mouthfeel is very smooth. So, may I? So, please enjoy. May I? So, please enjoy. May I? And last but not least, please enjoy. Judges, for me, this coffee is the result of a 5 years learning process, which I had the privilege to share with many people, like Dario, Nikolai, and Felix. For you, this coffee is the result of the last 10 minutes, where you perhaps learned something from me also. And that's why I truly believe we as person and we as a specialty coffee community can only grow if we never stop learning. Time. Thank you.